a curfew!
Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details,
What recipes are creamsicle?
and everything you missed. Everything kicks off when a car suddenly shows up out of nowhere and opens fire on the ice cream man, dropping him to the ground. Gregory Tudor, who witnesses the whole thing, is left completely stunned while his terrified mother rushes over to him right away. Gregory tells her he's fine, and with childlike innocence, he asks who's going to be selling the ice cream now. Years roll by after that incident. Roger Smith, all caught up playing video games, sneaks over to his mother's purse and grabs some cash the moment he hears that familiar jingle from the ice cream truck. Without wasting a second, he bolts out of the house, spots the truck moving down the block, and waits for it to pull over so he can be the very first in line. But the ice cream man turns out to be Gregory, now working as the new vendor in town. With a mocking tone, he toys with Roger, deliberately holding back his order. Confused, the kid asks if something's wrong, because he still hasn't gotten his ice cream. Tudor leans down close and demands he say please. Intimidated, Smith gives in and practically begs him to hand over his ice cream. Next up to order is tuna casera. His friends Heather Langley and Johnny Spodek hand him some money so he can buy for them too. The ice cream man grabs the coins and tosses them straight into a bucket full of bugs. Right there, it becomes clear how nasty his hygiene is, since even the ice creams themselves are all contaminated. Even so, Tuna asks for the packaged ones, and when he heads back to his friends, he tells them the ice cream guy seemed kind of weird to him. Right after, the three kids take off toward the park in a little improvised race. Meanwhile, Paul is sitting down reading a book. After a short while, two of his friends join him, and eventually Tuna shows up exhausted, collapsing onto the sand and smearing his ice cream. Not caring much, he wipes it off on his shirt and keeps eating it. While they're having fun on the spinning wheel, Paul starts sharing what he was reading, the tale of the Pied Piper of Hamlet, who drove the rats out of the city with the spell of his music and led them to the river where they all drowned. That story gets overheard by the park caretaker, who steps in to add that later on the Piper came back for the kids of the town because the adults refused to pay him for clearing out the pests. As revenge, he led the children straight to the river too, leaving them there just like the rats. With a dark tone, he warns that this is exactly what happens when you don't pay the piper. Shaken, the kids decide to leave right away. Later on, Roger, still hanging around the park, runs over to the ice cream truck. Gregory, watching the caretaker scooping up trash from the ground with a sharp tool and tossing it in the bin, suddenly relives the memory of when treatments were being done to his head. Smith cuts him off and asks if he's doing all right. The ice cream man, wearing a disturbingly eerie grin, replies that he feels happy while fooling around with a sharp object. As night falls, Tuna walks Heather back to her place and Mr. Langley tells them both to make sure they come home soon. Meanwhile, Gregory parks his ice cream truck and gets startled by Binky, Nurse Wharton's little dog, barking non-stop after picking up strange noises coming from inside the vehicle. Tudor, dead set, unhinged by the animal, attacks him without mercy. Wharton, hearing the cries of her beloved pet, peeks out the window and runs into Gregory. She asks him if he hurt her dog, to which he calmly answers, no. The nurse then notices a bloodstain on his face and questions him about what's on his nose. With sly confidence, Tudor insists it's just an ingredient for making his ice cream and adds that he really ought to leave before it melts away. At the Spodek family's home, dinner gets cut short by Roger's mother, who calls on the phone, asking if anyone's seen her son. Mrs. Spodek checks with Johnny if he ran into Smith earlier in the day, and the boy confirms he spotted him at the park. She mentions Roger still hasn't come back home and that his mother is worried sick, though she hasn't gone to the cops yet. She also warns Johnny not to be going out at night. Not long after, the woman tells her oldest son, Jacob, to take Janet and Johnny out to the movies, but he snaps back saying he ain't watching some kiddie flick. The next day, Gregory, while sleeping, dreams about the days when the nurse used to feed him during his stay at the hospital. Suddenly, Wharton catches him dozing off on her property. She wakes him up and reminds him that soon enough, rent's got to be paid. Tudor, showing a calm, assures her he'll whip up 5 liters of ice cream made just for her. The nurse confesses she feels proud of having cared for him, and as she eyes the truck, remarks that it's starting to look more like a haunted place. Elsewhere, Jacob walks Johnny to school. Before leaving, he tells him to ride the bus straight back home and warns him not to be late so their mother doesn't get upset. Later on, Tuna and his pals drop by their father's office, Martin Casera, who hands them cash so they can grab themselves some ice cream. That same day, Gregory gets stopped by a couple detectives who question him about Roger since the kid was last seen at the park but never made it home. Tudor denies ever seeing him, and the officers tell him to speak up if he notices anything unusual. One of them even buys a couple of cones, and while Gregory is preparing them, it's revealed that he's stashing meat and rodents inside his containers. All of a sudden, he grabs a human eye, slices off a piece, and mixes it into the ice cream before handing it to the officer, who starts enjoying the cone without having a clue what's inside. Later on, women and kids line up to buy ice cream. Among them, the bold and pushy Wanda shoves the little ones aside so she can stand right up at the front. She tells Gregory she wants 4 liters of his special ice cream, asks if he makes home deliveries, and even invites him over to her place before walking away. After that, Tuna and his buddies finally get their turn in line. Even though they hesitate for a moment on what flavor to pick, Tudor offers them a brand new waffle ice cream. Still, the kids end up choosing the usual cones. While Gregory gets their orders ready, it's clear that inside his cooler, he's hiding a human body. Right after, Tudor drives his truck over to Wanda's house. As he pulls up, he drifts back to memories of his days in the hospital when the doctor kept repeating that there were no bad days, only happy days, while holding the syringe with his treatment. Suddenly, snapping out of that thought, he spots Wanda standing at her front door, but he decides to drive away instead. When night falls, the kids walk Heather back to her home. The girl stepping inside is left stunned, seeing her mother move in strange ways. And even though her father orders her to come closer, she bolts straight to her room. Her friends start thinking something creepy is going on with Mrs. Langley, and they conclude that since her father's a reverend in that house, they must be talking about God way too much. Johnny says he's got to get back home so his mother don't worry, while Paul is the first one to break off running, rushing away from the group. On his way back, he runs into the ice cream man who's enjoying a quiet moment to himself. Noticing the boy, Gregory slowly walks over and invites him to have an ice cream. Paul answers that he really ought to head home since dinner time's getting close, but Tudor keeps insisting and asks what his favorite flavor is, trying to win the kid's trust. Then he opens up the truck, and the boy, amazed, blurts out that he's never seen one like it before. Gregory seizes the chance to confess he don't got many friends because he spends way too much time inside the truck. The boy tells him he understands because he too was sick as a kid, which is why he's still shorter than the rest. Gregory admits he also suffered an illness in childhood, but as he grew, he got better. Finally, he hands him an ice cream. Paul admits he don't got enough money to pay, but Tudor gladly offers it to him anyway. Out of nowhere, the boy freezes in terror as he notices the ice cream man drop a sharp object stained with blood. Afterward, Tuna heads back to his house, but on the way, he catches sight of Gregory loading Paul's body into the truck. Terrified, he tries to hide, though Tudor spots him and with a disturbingly calm tone offers him a free ice cream. Gregory slowly steps closer to Tuna and explains that the kid he just saw climb into his truck is being taken to the hospital because he got hurt. Still, Cassera bolts from the spot, and Tudor warns him not to try running from the ice cream man, reminding him that he knows exactly where he lives. He threatens to take down his parents if he dares to tell anyone what just went down. Tuna runs through the dark night and hides in the thick brush, where he unexpectedly bumps into Roger, who's also hiding in the very same place. Roger confesses to him that the ice cream man killed the guy who was cleaning the park. Cassera, shaken to the core, reveals that Gregory just captured Paul and suggests they should tell his father. However, Smith warns him that the ice cream man is close by. Tuna promises he'll walk him all the way to his house and then cut through the neighbor's gardens to make it back to his own place. Meanwhile, inside the Cassera residence, Marion scolds her husband Martin for coming home so late. At that very moment, Tuna steps into the house and his mother immediately orders him to head back to the door and take off his shoes before entering. After that, the couple gets into a heated argument since Marion suspects Martin is cheating on her. Tuna tries to speak with his father, but Martin sends him straight to his room, while they both keep arguing without giving him the chance to share something important. Later that night, the ice cream man shows up at the Cassera home. Martin, surprised, wonders what the truck is doing parked outside his place at such a late hour, while Tuna watches from his bedroom window and quickly hides. The next day, Marion tells Tuna to hurry up so they can head to the store, but when she looks down at his shoes, she orders him to swap them out for another pair. The boy stands frozen, horrified, when he notices they're covered in wriggling worms. Once at the store, Marion hands him a list of groceries to fetch. While Tuna lingers near the dairy fridge, Gregory sneaks up on him. Cassera takes off running, desperate, all over the store, trying to find his mother, but the ice cream man blocks his way. The boy crawls under a table, climbs onto a cart to get some distance from Tudor, and finally manages to hide inside an office. Soon after, Marion finds her son and begs him to tell her what happened so she can help. The boy, frightened, reveals he's been threatened. If he talks, it'll be his parents who pay the price. Distressed, she asks who's been intimidating him, and Tuna whispers that it was the ice cream man. He confesses to her as well that he saw him capture his buddy Paul the night before. Marion holds him tight in her arms, trying hard to calm him down. Later on, Gregory gets a visit from a couple of detectives who hand him an inspection order to search the ice cream shop. The officers tear the whole place apart, looking for any clue that might help them crack the case. All of a sudden, one officer is left stunned when he finds a shredding machine with massive blades, exclaiming that with that thing, anyone could easily lose their hands. Tudor steps in and explains that it's only used for grinding up nuts with fructose. Since they don't find a single clue, the officers decide to leave, regretting they came up empty-handed. Annoyed, Tudor scolds them for the damage they caused in the shop. At that very moment, Wharton shows up furious, demanding to know how they can regret not finding anything, insisting they got the wrong place and reminding them she's the owner of the missing dog. The detective questions Gregory about where he was the day before at 6 o'clock. Wharton jumps in and answers that he was right there working, trying to cover his rent, and she challenges the officers on why they're bothering the young man. She adds she's his nurse, his landlady, his neighbor, and even his guardian. The detective replies they have to understand the situation because people get real uneasy when a child disappears. Gregory argues that he's the ice cream man and his job is all about making kids happy, something that, according to him, they destroyed with the wrecking of the shop. Agitated, he asks the detective if he realizes the consequences. The officer hands him a card, asking him to reach out and tell what happened so they can help him. Before leaving, the detective asks how he manages to keep the daisies in the garden looking so beautiful. Tudor, with biting sarcasm, replies that he kills cops and then uses them as fertilizer, claiming they make excellent compost. Afterward, the detective quietly tells his partner there's something strange about this place and that they need to dig deeper into Gregory. Then, Tudor once again recalls the doctor's words that there were no bad days, only happy ones. He walks back into the shop and tests the shredder, proving it still works. Right after, he heads into the storeroom where we see Paul hiding. He grabs the boy by force and drags him out of his shelter. He sits him down on top of a freezer and assures him he won't get hurt. He asks the kid what he feels when looking around the place, and the boy replies that he's having a bad day. Tudor, with icy calm, admits he's right, because not every day is truly happy. Meanwhile, after Reverend Langley's mask, Tuna tells Roger that he already spilled everything to the cops, and he's convinced they're going to catch the ice cream man. Smith answers that for safety's sake, he prefers to stay hidden. Later on, Tuna, Johnny, and Heather meet up, and when they peek out the window, they spot the ice cream truck rolling by. Shocked, they wonder how it's even possible that the ice cream man isn't locked up yet. The girl swears she won't give up while the grown-ups stay busy dealing with their own problems. Tuna suggests snapping a picture of him, and feeling a little puzzled, asks, since when are kids the ones chasing down criminals? Johnny recommends they ought to do something about it. Cassera questions why they should get involved at all, or why it wouldn't be better to just steer clear of the ice cream man and stay inside their homes. Spodek answers that they're a tight team sticking together, while Langley suggests taking a photo and handing it later to the cops. That very same night, the kids meet up again and, riding their bikes, they start cruising through the streets. Still, after half an hour, they stop to rest. Heather comments that maybe the ice cream man thinks he's the Pied Piper of Hamelin since he drives his truck playing music to lure in children. Suddenly, the youngsters spot the ice cream truck. They duck down and wait for it to pass before tailing it. Pedaling fast on their bikes, they decide to follow him. The ice cream man pulls over near a cemetery, swings open the truck door, hauls out a big package wrapped in a black bag, and heads right inside. The kids rush after him, not realizing they're being watched by the detectives. Stunned, they watch him open the package, which holds a box filled with ice creams. The man picks one up and talks to a grave like he's speaking to somebody real. Out of nowhere, he starts crying and laughing at the same time before finally walking away. Curious, the kids step closer to the grave the ice cream man visited and discover it belongs to Butch Bickle, known as the so-called King of Ice Cream. Moments later, Gregory heads back to Wanda's house and spies on her through her bedroom window while she sleeps. However, Heather and Johnny trail after him. The girl asks her friend to go fetch Tuna while she, camera in hand, carefully approaches the truck and starts snapping shots of its inside. Meanwhile, Johnny finds Cassera, who tells him he isn't feeling well, complaining about body aches and nausea. Realizing that Langley was left all alone by the ice cream truck, he rushes back in a hurry. At the same time, Tuna runs into the officer's car, panics, and fires a rocket at the vehicle. On the other hand, Tudor gets back to the truck and drives off, totally unaware that Heather is hidden inside, traveling with him. Detective Maldwin warns Cassera that this isn't a game, because there's a child predator stalking the city. While they're out here acting like it's just a round of cops and robbers, Tuna, all worked up, explains to the detectives that his friend Heather is trapped inside the ice cream truck, and they've got to rescue her before anything terrible happens. To calm him down, Maldwin reassures him that he's already made a call and sent some officers over to the Langley house. At the very same time, an officer informs Reverend Langley that he got an alert about his daughter Heather's disappearance. However, the Reverend insists the little girl has been hiding under the bed all night long. The cop asks for permission to step inside and check the house just to make sure the girl is really there. Langley shuts the door, heads straight to his daughter's room, gets close to the bed, and confirms the little one is right there, sound asleep. Then he returns to the officer and tells him his kid is sleeping like a baby, even inviting him to the upcoming mass where he'll preach a sermon about trust. A little later, the detectives are informed that Heather is home resting peacefully, so Maldwin tells Tuna to drop his accusations against the ice cream man. The very next day, young Langley goes to the shop to get the film roll developed, asking them to finish the job as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, the cops assigned to watch Gregory doze off inside the patrol car, a moment the ice cream man seizes to stroll up and offer them a couple of cones. Elsewhere, the kids gather up to raise the cash needed to pay for the photo developing. Johnny smashes open his piggy bank, but they get caught by Jacob, who notices they've taken his camera and demands to know what they did with the tape. Faced with silence, Johnny Spodek snaps and grabs Tuna roughly, trying to squeeze the truth out of him. Heather steps in and hands over a tape, after which Jacob and his brother walk away. Meanwhile, Tudor once again spies on Wanda, but this time, the woman isn't alone. She's with Martin. When she notices the ice cream man lurking, she throws him a quick, flirtatious glance. Gregory rushes off before Cassera can catch sight of him. As Martin leaves, he hops in his car, but through the rearview mirror, he sees the ice cream truck blocking the road. Annoyed, he steps out, demanding the guy move. Instead, Cassera opens the truck's door, and as he confronts the ice cream man, Gregory smashes his face viciously with a waffle iron, glowing red hot. Later that night, the seductive Wanda welcomes Tudor into her home. While she teases him and turns her back, the ice cream man steps inside with an eerie vibe and tells her he brought something special. She freezes in horror when she sees Gregory has placed Martin's severed head on top of a giant cone. Desperate, she screams out, but he demands silence. And when she doesn't obey, he attacks her just to shut her up. Somewhere else, Maldwin tells his partner that he checked the ice cream man's background and couldn't find anything suspicious. Still, he remembers the nurse, describing her as just as unbalanced, maybe even more unstable than Gregory. After checking her license, he discovers she practiced for many years, out of which she spent 20 working at a private clinic called the Wishing Well, where she treated patients with severe mental issues. Meanwhile, Jacob and his girlfriend show up at the photo shop to pick up the images from the roll. There, Janet is horrified when she sees the bloody, gruesome scene that shows up in the pictures. At the same time, Tudor is mixing up batches of ice cream in the factory alongside Paul, and both of them seem to be enjoying it. However, Gregory moves over to another container and, using a strainer, pulls out disturbing feminine belongings like earrings and a ring. Later on, we see the detectives arriving at the psychiatric hospital to dig up some information. Maldwin asks why the flowers are all plastic, to which the doctor replies that real ones wither and die, adding in a low whisper that what they truly want is happy patients. Maldwin then questions him if he practices lobotomies or electroshock therapies, but the doctor answers he believes in keeping patients content and in showing compassion. Right after, the detective asks if he remembers Nurse Wharton. The doctor smiles and says everybody remembers her since she used to hand out ice cream to patients whenever they felt pain or loneliness. He assures them she cared for everybody with dedication, though Gregory was always her favorite. Suddenly, the doctor responds to a patient calling, so the detectives follow him down the hospital corridors. Both are stunned when they witness a sick man with a syringe jammed in his head, supposedly receiving treatment, though in reality he was dying. Excited, the doctor begins to enjoy the moment, spins around in circles, and orders the rest of the patients to crawl out from their hiding spots. Seeing this, the detectives decide to leave, but they're quickly followed by the inmates. In the end, they split up and agree to meet again at the car. Maldwin moves further down the hallways and is left shocked by the pitiful, degrading state in which the patients are being treated. Out of nowhere, he's ambushed by the doctor, who tells him nobody ever leaves the wishing well because those are his orders. Minutes later, the detective is attacked by the patients. However, he manages to fight back and break free. He runs straight to the patrol car, calls in for backup, and watches how his partner is being chased down by the inmates. So, both of them end up fleeing the place. Meanwhile, Johnny, Heather, and Tuna get caught off guard by the ice cream man. The kids take off running, terrified, but Tuna falls behind and gets grabbed by Gregory, who immediately tosses him inside his truck, leaving the boy's bike behind on the ground. After that, Tudor shoves Casera by force into the freezer and locks him in, securing the door with heavy chains. Right after, Johnny and Heather rush in desperation to Jacob, begging him to alert the cops about Tuna's kidnapping. But Psychotic tells them they can't do that without proof. So, he decides to go rescue the kid on his own. He grabs the gun from his car and asks Janet to watch over the children while he heads out after Casera. At the same time, Gregory shows Paul a portrait and asks if he knows who it is. The boy replies, "It's the Ice Cream King, a man kind of like the Pied Piper of Hamelin since he drives away the bad and leaves behind a world filled with only good." Suddenly, Jacob, Janet, and the kids arrive at the ice cream shop. He tells them he'll leave a radio with a direct line frequency to the police, and that they must use it only in case of a real emergency. They're warned they have to stay inside the car no matter if they hear gunshots, screams, or any other strange noise around. All they have to do is press the button and speak through the radio and then activate the alarm, which blasts out sounding exactly like a police siren. Jacob, as he tries to sneak into the shop, makes Tudor sense there's somebody nearby. Believing it's a potential customer, he quickly hides Paul from sight. Psychotic cautiously searches the place, glancing at portraits and a creepy clown mask without realizing he's walking right past the ice cream man since the whole spot is covered in darkness. Meanwhile, outside, Janet and the kids wait anxiously for Jacob to return, but they get ambushed by Gregory, now dressed up in Psychotic's clothing. Once inside the car, he viciously attacks Janet, leaving her without any chance of surviving. Johnny and Heather, in desperation, manage to slip out through the car windows and take off running across Tudor's property, horrified when they stumble upon the lifeless bodies of two officers. Right after, the kids hide behind an abandoned vehicle, but the ice cream man, cunning as ever, holds up the cops' heads to trick them into believing everything's under control. Once he's exposed, the children panic and bolt, while Paul, who's been watching from the window, seizes the moment to escape from the hiding place where he was locked up. Tudor gives chase to the kids, but he gets confronted by Wharton, who angrily calls him out for the chaos he's stirred up. Gregory apologizes and claims that some neighborhood kids just wanted to play hide and seek, promising he'll try to keep it quiet from now on. Heather and Johnny run in total desperation until they reach Wharton's house, begging her for help and explaining that they're being chased down by the ice cream man. She lets them inside to hide, convinced it's nothing more than a silly little game with her sweet Tudor. When Gregory can't find them, he asks out loud if maybe they don't want to play with him anymore. At that very moment, Tudor manages to pry open the truck's door and break out of the freezer, but he gets grabbed again. Just then, the two detectives show up and order the ice cream man to freeze right where he is. Nevertheless, Tuna slams the truck door shut and locks himself inside with the boy, forcing him to eat ice cream against his will. Later on, Tuna, passed out cold, gets tossed out of the truck. The detectives start searching for the ice cream man, but he blindsides them, striking from the top of the vehicle and knocking them unconscious while Casera hides himself inside the ice cream shop. Eventually, Gregory tracks down Johnny and Heather, who beg him not to hurt them. Wharton, in her naive way, feels thrilled, believing Tudor has won his innocent game of hide and seek. All of a sudden, Paul shows up holding the portrait of the Ice Cream King, pretending to be him. Gregory lets go of the kids and steps into the shop while painful memories from the hospital come flooding back. The day he was lobotomized, and those haunting moments when the Ice Cream King handed him ice cream to ease his suffering. Yet Paul, sharp and clever, leads him straight toward the grinding machine, managing to make him fall right into it. As he watches Gregory being destroyed, he wonders to himself who will now take the place of the real Pied Piper of Hamelin. With the break of dawn, the children are rescued. Wharton shows up asking if they ever found her dog, and at the same time wants to know what happened to Gregory. Afterward, the kids reunite and welcome Raja as the newest member of their crew while they wonder about Paul, whom we see confined in a psychiatric hospital. Like the dark tale of Gregory is bound to repeat all over again. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.